Even MIT couldn't solve this equation, Miss Tate. Let's see if the genius they call you is real or...
He flicked the chalk. It hit Whitney's desk and rolled to the floor.
30 seconds. Solve it or you're out of the scholarship program.
Whitney calmly stood up, slowly.
Professor, what if I solve it?
Dream on, stinking cockroach. 3 years I researched this. A fake from the slums isn't solving it. Pick it up. Fake genius. Come solve it.
Whitney's hand trembled once, then stopped. She didn't pick up the chalk. She walked past it, past Walsh, straight to the board. 30 seconds later, the professor would regret it. 30 seconds doesn't happen in 30 seconds. And this is how we got there. To understand what happened in that lecture hall, you need to know who Whitney Tate was and who Edward Walsh thought she was. Whitney was 22 years old, a senior at MIT, full scholarship. She lived with her grandmother in a 2-bedroom walk-up in Roxbury. The heat worked sometimes. The neighbors knew her by name. 5 nights a week, she worked the late shift at a diner in Central Square. From 11 at night until 4 in the morning, she poured coffee for taxi drivers and night students. Then she walked 20 minutes to campus and started her day. She slept 4 hours, sometimes 3. Her grandmother had a heart condition. The medications cost $300 a month. The scholarship covered tuition. It did not cover medication. It did not cover groceries. It did not cover the rent on the walk-up in Roxbury. So Whitney worked, and she studied. And she did not make excuses. She made math. 3 months before that colloquium, the Journal of Number Theory had published her undergraduate thesis. It was titled Generalizations of Modular Transformations over Imaginary Quadratic Fields. The paper was credited to W. Tate. No first name, no photograph. Most of the math department had skimmed the abstract. A few had read the introduction. Almost none of them knew the author was the quiet black girl in the 3rd row. But one person did. 3 years earlier, Edward Walsh had sat on Whitney's freshman placement committee. He had asked her, in front of 2 other professors, if she was comfortable in the level she'd tested into. He had used the word comfortable the way other men use the word qualified. Now, Walsh was 56 years old, tenured 18 years, a Cole Prize winner. He had supervised more than 30 PhDs. He wrote op-eds in the Chronicle of Higher Education about what he called standards drift at elite universities. When pressed, in private, he would say he meant exactly what everyone thought he meant. And he chaired the Vandenberg Memorial Fellowship, the most prestigious research grant the MIT Math Department awarded. That fall, Whitney Tate was one of 3 finalists. Walsh had told 2 colleagues over coffee that he didn't think she fit the profile. What he didn't tell them was what sat in his office. In the top drawer of a locked filing cabinet behind his desk sat a single yellow sheet of paper, handwritten, dated. A problem he called the Vandenberg equation, named for a colleague who had passed away in 2018. Walsh believed the problem was unsolvable. He believed it was his territory. He had been wrong about both for 3 months, and he didn't know it yet. Because on a quiet Tuesday in July, Whitney's paper had crossed the desk of a visiting Princeton mathematician named Dr. Eleanor Whitmore. Dr. Whitmore had read it twice. She had circled 3 lines. She had written a note in the margin. This generalization changes everything. Who is W. Tate? She had flown to Cambridge that October to find out. That afternoon, the Vandenberg Memorial Colloquium was the most attended event of the semester. Killian Court was packed. The chair of the department, Dr. Margaret Sullivan, was there. 3 news outlets had sent reporters, including Henry Garrison from MIT Technology Review. The colloquium was supposed to be a celebration, a keynote, a polite announcement about the fellowship finalists. It was not supposed to be an execution. Whitney sat in the 3rd row, exactly where she always sat. She wore a clean white shirt. Her hair was tied back. Her notebook was open. She did not know what Walsh had written on the board that morning. She did not know Dr. Whitmore was sitting in the back row. The Princeton visitor was holding a journal open to one very specific page. She did not know that the locked filing cabinet was about to be opened in front of 200 witnesses. All she knew was that her grandmother had sent her a text at 6:42 that morning. It said, "Eat something today, baby." She had not eaten. She had been studying. And somewhere in the front of the room, a 56-year-old professor was about to pick up a piece of chalk. He had no idea he was about to ruin the next 20 years of his own career. But before any of that, he was going to call her a cockroach. We come back to that moment. Whitney walked past the chalk on the floor, past Walsh, straight to the blackboard. 200 faces tracked her every step. The room was so quiet you could hear her shoes on the wood. Walsh watched her go. The smile came back to his face. He had expected her to break. She hadn't broken. So now he would break her properly. He turned to face the audience. "Esteemed colleagues, what you are about to witness is what I call a teaching moment." He raised his voice so the back rows could hear. "For 3 years, I have worked on the equation now visible on this board. It is a generalization in modular forms. The standard techniques fail. 2 of my graduate students attempted it last spring. Both withdrew from the program." A few people laughed. Some did not. "And now," Walsh said, gesturing toward Whitney, "Miss Tate believes she can solve in 30 seconds what has resisted MIT for a decade." Dr. Margaret Sullivan stood up from the front row. "Edward, this is not the appropriate venue." "Margaret, sit down. The colloquium is open to demonstrations." "This is not a demonstration. This is a public—" "It is a test of standards, which is exactly what this department needs." Sullivan stayed standing for 2 long seconds. Then she sat down, slowly. She did not look at Whitney. She looked at her own hands. Walsh walked to the podium. From beneath it, he produced a small black device. He held it up so everyone could see. A digital stopwatch, the kind referees use. Large red digits, ready to count down from 30. "To make this fair," Walsh said, "I propose terms." He looked at Whitney. He smiled. "If you solve this equation in 30 seconds, verified by Dr. Sullivan, I will personally endorse you for the Vandenberg Fellowship. I will sign the letter today." The room held its breath. "If you fail, you withdraw your name from the fellowship. Tonight, in writing, in front of these witnesses." Sullivan's head snapped up. "Edward, you cannot impose. I am the chair of the selection committee. I can recommend whatever I like." Whitney still hadn't spoken. She was looking at the equation on the board. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She didn't pull it out. She already knew what it said. "Eat something today, baby." She had not eaten. She had $300 to her name. The medications were due next week. Her grandmother needed groceries. The walk-up needed rent. In front of her, the man who had decided 3 years ago that she did not fit the profile was holding a stopwatch. In the back row, Dr. Eleanor Whitmore sat up straighter. She did not look surprised. She looked focused. Her right hand rested on a journal in her lap. The journal was already open to a specific page. Whitney turned slowly. She faced Walsh. "I accept." The room exhaled. "Set the clock, Professor." Walsh's smile grew. He thought he had won. He pressed the button. The red digits lit up. 30. He did not know that Whitney had already seen the answer. She had seen it the moment she walked up to the board. She had not picked up the chalk yet because she wanted Walsh to keep talking. She wanted him to dig the hole a little deeper. What had Whitney seen on that blackboard that the professor with 20 years of authority had missed? Whitney did not move toward the chalk. She stood at the blackboard. Her eyes traced the equation from left to right.